Thank you, Kim, and good afternoon, everyone. As Kim said, what? As Kim said, my name is Scott Schubert. I'm the chairman of the board of Arineta. Arineta is the developer of the Spotlight Duo system that Kim has installed here at the Clear Heart and Lung Imaging Center. So I'm a biomedical engineer. As Kim said, I've been involved with cardiac CT for the last 25 years of my career. As a biomedical engineer, I love technology stories about how technology can improve medical care and improve the outcomes and lives of patients. So I want to tell you a story, and it's not my story. The story begins 15 years ago. Dr. Udi Daphne, who's an Israeli PhD medical physicist, he was one of the pioneers of computed tomography. Computed tomography is also called CT or CAT scanning. Okay, so a little sidebar: computed tomography was invented in the 70s, and the inventors of CT were given the Nobel Prize for their invention. So it's had worldwide recognition for its medical benefits across the whole healthcare spectrum. But Dr. Daphne, in 2010, he preferred to be called Udi, so I'll call him by Udi. He wondered why so little progress had been made in the area of cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer in the world and the #1 cost to the U.S. healthcare system and to most developed countries worldwide. And so Udi wondered why so little progress had been made. And what he looked at is what I call the 50 plus 50 problem. And first, what Udi observed is that 50% of the patients who die of sudden cardiac death had no idea that they had the disease. They had never been a doctor or had never received any diagnosis of cardiovascular disease. So this is a problem of lack of prevention and lack of early diagnosis. The other 50, part of the problem that Udi observed, is that the state of the art in 2010 for patients that did get a diagnosis of cardiovascular disease is called a stress test. And those patients that got a positive stress test, more than 50% of the time, they went onto a cath lab to look at their disease and possibly intervene, and it was found that they didn't have any obstructive disease. So this is called a false positive, and Udi wondered why the state of the art in imaging was so poor in its accuracy. So this is, again, the 50 plus 50 problem that Udi observed. Udi believed, because of the evidence generated by many of the luminaries that you'll hear from, the clinical experts, that cardiac CT could solve both of these 50 plus 50 problems. Cardiac CT can take just an exquisite 3D picture of the beating heart, and it can do so in the early stages of the disease, and for patients that have the disease can diagnose them with greater than 90% accuracy. But there was a problem that Udi still saw. The evidence was overwhelmingly clear that cardiac CT was the best way to manage patients, but Udi saw another problem. All the major CT companies were developing CT scanners that were general purpose scanners, head-to-toe multi-anatomy scanners. And these are like a Swiss Army knife. They're general purpose. They're designed to image the entire body. And Udi saw that these scanners are very expensive. Many of the top ones are around $2 million. They are very large. They take a very large room. And therefore, they're only installed, the top ones, in kind of the major universities or large hospital settings. And Udi saw this was a kind of a major problem of access, that only a few percentage of patients could actually get access to a cardiac CT. So as a scientist, Udi applied his technical know-how how to solve this problem of access. So first, Udi decided he needed to make a cardiac CT scanner that would be smaller than the general purpose scanners made by the other manufacturers. And he realized to image the heart, he didn't need a large scanner that was a head-to-toe scanner, and he realized he could make a smaller system, and he also realized that if he made it smaller, it actually had benefits for cardiac imaging, because when you bring the components of a CT closer together, it can spin faster. And just like a figure skater who brings her arms in and you reduce the centrifugal force, you can spin faster, and this has some key technical advantages. So making it smaller in Udi's mind would also not only enable the ability to put it in small rooms, but it would give some quality advantages as well. Second, Udi realized that to get a good quality study, to take a picture of the heart, you needed to do it in one heartbeat, because the heart changes its heart rate, its beat rhythm and frequency quite frequently, and especially when you inject contrast into the patient. So he needed a one-beat solution to image the patient in a single heartbeat. Udi looked around for examples of how to do this, and he noticed that our human eyes are a great example of how to visualize three-dimensional objects that are moving. And what's unique about our human eyes, they see in stereo. That's how you see three-dimensional objects. So he invented the concept of stereo CT, which was to use two different X-ray tubes to see the patient's heart from two different angles and to be able to see the entire 3D heart in one heartbeat. The third thing that Udi thought about is we have to make cardiac CT less expensive. And being a technical expert, he knew that about half the cost to build a cardiac CT scanner is in the detector. The detector is like the camera on your phone, but on a CT scanner, the detector is very sophisticated. It uses rare earth commodities, mostly from China, very expensive electronics. So Udi realized to image the heart, all we had to do was have a smaller number of detectors that were focusing to get the best image quality on the heart. And by doing this, he could reduce the cost of the CT scanner by more than 50%. So putting it all together, making the scanner smaller, with stereo CT being able to image in one heartbeat, and making the system less expensive, Udi developed the world's first dedicated cardiac scanner that solved these three problems. He called his invention the Spotlight, which is what Kim has installed here, and the company that he founded was called Arineta. Now, I don't want to overstate this. Dr. Udi Daphne was not the first to invent, he didn't invent cardiac CT. He stood on the shoulders of many people. But I believe Udi Daphne will be remembered as the pioneer who made cardiac CT accessible and affordable to the worldwide population with his invention. So fast forward then to 2021, we were starting a U.S. sales team, and I was honored to lead that sales team. And Kim, applied for a position at Arineta. And Kim learned about Udi's vision to make cardiac CT affordable and accessible, and was very passionate about that vision. And under Kim's leadership, she and Matt have started this center here. I'd like to congratulate Kim and Matt and the whole team, the whole staff. Arineta is extremely proud to be your partners in this new venture. Thank you.